All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful mindset shift for anyone parenting teenagers. It's based on the work of retired clinical psychologist Lasater, and he suggests a whole new path, one that moves away from that constant struggle of trying to control your kids and towards something much more effective, genuinely influencing them.
So let's start with a question that, if you're a parent of a teen, probably hits pretty close to home. Do you have that constant, nagging feeling that you have to manage their life? Fix every mistake, solve every single problem for them? I mean, it is absolutely exhausting, right? And so stressful. And here's the tough part. That whole approach, it doesn't just feel bad. It's actually completely counterproductive. Lasater points out that when we try to force control over a teenager's choices, it's basically a recipe for our own misery. And for them, it just creates this deep bitterness that can end up pushing them even further away.
Now, this is a real eye-opener. The source material basically says that parents of middle or high schoolers have less than 30% direct control over their child's problems. Just think about that. You're feeling 100% of the responsibility, but you have less than 30% of the control. I mean, no wonder it's a recipe for constant worry.
So that brings us to the big question, right? If trying to be responsible for them is just a losing battle, what are you supposed to do? What does a healthier, more effective way forward actually look like?
And that leads us straight to the central idea of this whole approach. It all boils down to this really subtle but incredibly profound shift in your thinking, the difference between being responsible for your child and being responsible to your child. And this chart just lays out the two paths so clearly. You see on the left, responsible for, well, that's the trap. You're focused on their problem, which you can't really control, and that just leads to high anxiety. But look at the right, responsible to, that's about empowerment. You focus on your part, the stuff you can actually control, and that's what builds real influence and connection. It empowers them to start taking ownership themselves. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually mean day to day? Let's get practical. Let's break down the action plan and look at what being responsible to your child really looks like.
These 6 actions are 100% within your control. And notice the pattern here? Not a single one of them involves taking over or fixing the problem for them. Instead, you basically become a supportive consultant, a safe harbor. You listen, you show you care, you offer tools if they're wanted, and this is huge, you tell them you believe in their ability to handle it. That right there is the foundation of real influence.
And this quote just gets right to the heart of it all. See, the most important point here is that by stepping back, by not trying to be the hero who solves everything, you actually create the space for your child to become the hero of their own story. You're affirming that they are capable.
Now you might be thinking, if this approach is so much healthier, why is it so ridiculously hard to actually do? What's the biggest hurdle that seems to get in our way?
Well, the source is really clear about this. A lot of times, the biggest barriers are internal. They're what Lasater calls faulty beliefs. These are ideas we carry around about parenting, about ourselves, about our kids, that aren't really based in reality. And you know where they often come from? Our own childhoods.
I mean, think about it. Have you ever heard yourself saying something to your kid and had that flash of, oh my gosh, that's the exact thing I swore I would never say? Yeah. Our own experiences can really muddy the waters, so to speak. So the real work, it seems, isn't just about changing our actions. It's about looking inward and correcting our own internal scripts first.
So what's the payoff for doing all this hard internal work? Let's talk about the reward, because it is a total game changer. It turns out a parent's true power isn't found in controlling their child. It's found in controlling themselves.
And this is really the ultimate takeaway. When you make that shift from being responsible for them to being responsible to them, you unhook your own happiness from their choices. You get back an incredible amount of freedom and peace of mind because you're focusing on the one and only thing you can always manage, your own response.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. This powerful shift, it doesn't require some massive life overhaul. It starts with just one single conscious choice. So what's one small thing you can do today? Maybe it's just really listening without judgment to start being responsible to your child instead of for them.